You are listening to the 90 Days Later podcast with Anna Charles, episode 183. Welcome to the 90 Days Later podcast, where we talk about what really happens when you take a break from drinking. And it turns out to be the best thing you've ever done. I'm Anna, coach to high achievers who are done waking up with regret and ready to feel in control around alcohol. If you've ever wondered what your life could look like with less wine and more you're in the right place. Hi everybody, and welcome back to the podcast. For those of you who are new to my world, I'm Anna, and I help my brilliant, high-achieving men and women to change their relationship with alcohol, not through pressure, not through shame or a sense of perfectionism, but through just real doable shifts, mini changes that build trust in yourself. Now, today's episode is for anyone who's ever thought, I don't want to keep drinking like this, but I'm not ready to say I'll never drink again. Here's the good news. I'll start with the good news. You do not have to say forever or, never again. This word, forever, or never again, but I'm going to use the word forever from now on in this episode. It trips so many people up because it feels heavy, it feels final, it makes the change feel scary rather than empowering. It makes us think, well, of course that's the sensible way. I mean, any other solution or any other decision just doesn't make sense. And none of that is empowering. So today we're going to be breaking that open. I'm going to show you why the obsession with labels, in my opinion, like sober or moderating, can actually keep you stuck, and why your relationship with alcohol does not need a label. It just needs honesty and a path forward that feels like yours. I see this day in, day out. I work with many different people who have many different styles, let's say, of drinking. Some are all about sort of just creating a more augmented moment. Others drink through boredom. Some drink home alone. Others only drink when out. I mean, it's all sorts, right? So this is about creating a path forward that feels like yours. Now, not knowing what exactly you want can be a great place to begin. Yes, that doesn't sound right, does it? It feels like we should know exactly what we want. But you do not have to know exactly what you want in order to get started. And some people come and say to me, look, Anna, my ideal is to have 2 glasses of wine on a Saturday and call it a night. Or others say, I just don't want to drink at all during the week, whatever. Others quite frequently, so if this is you, this is not uncommon, they will say, look, I have no idea what I want, but I just know that what I'm doing isn't working anymore. Now, any of these kind of positioning, they're all valid, right? They're both powerful starting points. Because listen, this is not just about alcohol. It's about your relationship with you, with what you tolerate, with what you believe you deserve, with how you want to feel in your own skin. And that is deeper work. This is not about choosing the right label or deciding you're sort of slotting into the lane. I'm that kind of person. I have been and I always will be. This is about reconnecting with your own sense of agency. That is such a powerful thought. And I want to talk about now the damage that can be caused by the forever mindset if we start to apply it too soon. All right, let's talk about that word forever. Now, for many people, it is loaded. At minimum, it's loaded. Often it's terrifying. I've had clients doing really well, right? Very clear-headed, very proud, very steady, building trust in themselves, knocking their own socks off, amazed at what they're able to do. And then we'll be coaching, and they might then casually say, look, I guess I'll just never drink again. I really can't think of a good reason why I would want to drink, right? Because they're starting to get into this. And boom, within days, they then spiral into over drinking. Short-lived, I will add, but this can be a catalyst. Why? Because saying out loud, right, forever, before you're ready, can feel like slamming a door shut. And then your brain, what it does is it panics. I think the thing of it is like your identity needs time to catch up with what you have declared, right? With the words you've just said. I had this happen with one of my lovely clients. She said that exact thing. She actually came out with words, I think I'll just never drink again, right? And then for 3 days, she drank more than she had in months. And she came to me and she felt like she'd ruined everything. But actually it turned out to be one of the most important turning points in her journey, right? Because we didn't shame it. And we kind of let the forever topic go on for a while. We let it be there without directly addressing it or making it mean anything. And instead we focused on building her sense of control, her habits, her self-trust, right? And then weeks later, she said to me, look, I don't want to drink again. I want to be able to get to a place where I just don't have alcohol in my life anymore. And that feels true, right? And now she's working towards that. So her goal shifted as she started to believe more in herself. But midway through, it took that, oh, what's going on here? Pull back, danger, right? We don't want to be moving towards sobriety again, without even using that label. But she has decided alcohol does not serve her. She doesn't want it in her life. She's completely fine with that, completely accepting. And it's not because she has to, it's because she wants to. And this is what makes it sustainable. It is such a different level of energy. So what if you are listening to this and you think, but Anna, I do want the forever. I do want to just get alcohol out of my life, right? But let's say you're scared. Here is the key. If you do want that, but the word makes you panic, you do not have to sort of go there all at once, right? You don't have to go from where you are now over drinking every day to, right, I'm going to give it up forever. You take it one day at a time, not in a pressurized, gotta be perfect, gotta be alcohol free every day, not, 662 days sober kind of way. But just from a place of action where you're willing to show up every day and take action that takes you to that place and you become that person who does that. Because this is where habits and our brain's love of creating habits becomes your best ally. I want you to think about this. If you repeat something often enough, it becomes a habit. Delaying the first glass, choosing sparkling water instead, going from 3 glasses to two. The more you do these things, even when they're hard to start with, the more you do them, the more you begin to normalize that new behavior, right? You stop, quote unquote, trying not to drink and you start living in a way where it's just not what you do anymore, right? That's the shift. People out there in your life who have a take it or leave it relationship with alcohol, maybe you envy, who really have no problem with it. They are not going around worrying or thinking about how they should try not to drink. They just don't do it because they don't think about it, right? It's just something that they do, and we can learn that. This can be a learned behavior. The more you repeat your new choice, the more you reinforce it. You are looking after that road. You're looking after that neural pathway in your brain. You are letting the old neural pathway of go and get the drink, you're letting that fall into disrepair to get all the potholes, letting all the weeds grow up through the tarmac. And over time, do this again and again and again. And by the way, I am not talking years here, I'm talking months, right? You become the kind of person who no longer drinks out of habit or no longer says, I need a drink. In fact, one client put it perfectly when she said, it's not hard anymore. It's just who I am now. So I want you to think about this. When we're talking, especially in this area of, I don't want to drink, right, forever, the identity shift is actually the real goal. So whether your goal is to moderate or remove alcohol altogether, the work is the same. You're becoming someone new through your choices and through your actions. And that change doesn't come from making a declaration. It comes from stacking up moments where you choose you, right? Again and again and again. I was just learning about Marcus Aurelius. I hope I've said that correctly, a Roman emperor. And those of you on my email list, you hear me talking about this. He was an amazing philosopher. I'm going to study him some more. But one of the things he said was you could be good today, but instead you choose tomorrow. Now, I'm not saying that drinking less is good or not drinking is bad. But what I'm talking about here is that you could choose today, right? You could choose to start taking action today. So, and each time you do that, each time you show yourself you can navigate a craving, each time you delay a glass of wine, each time you enjoy a Friday night and genuinely enjoy it, not just it's fine, but enjoy it without needing wine to soften the edges or take the edge off, you are rewriting the story bit by bit by bit. Even when you don't see it, you are changing the story. It is how the brain works, right? But here is the trap that I see many people fall into. We say things like, I don't want to ever drink again. Right, we kind of come face to face with what we really, really want. We sort of verbalize that, but I'm terrified of what that means for my life. And then because of that fear, even though it's the thing you want, you start self-sabotaging. You start to quiet the panic, and you do that by drinking, maybe drinking behind your own back, and you fight yourself instead of supporting yourself to the finish line. You start telling yourself, that's what I want, but I'm too far done. I haven't hit rock bottom, or I'm never going to do this, whatever it is. We start to defend and say, well, it's really all the excuses as to why we can't do it. But here's what I want you to take away from this episode. What matters most is that you do not have to say forever. You do not have to label yourself. And I strongly advise that if you are labeling yourself in any way, which is I'm a ... so I'm just someone who overdrinks, I'm a hopeless case, whatever it is, you just drop saying that. Even if you still believe it, I just want you to drop saying it. It does not serve you. And what also matters is that you can build a version of your life that feels solid, that feels peaceful, that feels free, without trying to force a destination on yourself that you are not ready for yet. It is okay if you think you might want to get forever, but you really are so unsure. So we just don't want to talk about that right now. This is a process. It's one you do with yourself, not against yourself. And when you stop arguing with who you think you should be, quote unquote, and start backing who you're becoming, well, that is when it gets really good. Right? So if you're ready to stop the spinning and start fresh and actually figure out what you want, right? Even if that feels scary, book a call with me today, right? That discovery call is free. I don't work with everyone who books one of these, but you will leave knowing what's what, and you will leave knowing the exact plan to get you to where you want to be, even if it's an interim step on the journey. And I can also help you get really clear on your real goal, even if you don't know what that is yet. And I will build the exact plan to get you there, right, to all your different goals, one step at a time. No forever is needed. Just a path that finally feels like you. The link to get on my calendar is in the show notes, or you can go to 90dayslater.co and click on book a call. There are fewer slots available these days because my coaching calendar is filling up, but I do still have room. All right, so thank you so much for listening to the podcast. If it gave you a breath of relief or a moment of, yes, that's me, then I am so happy. And I want you to see how change is possible for you. And if you really love what you're learning here, please share it. Right? This journey isn't about perfection. It's about choice, about freedom, and about sharing, and about helping others. Maybe just recommending this, or just telling some colleagues about this. You're not telling them what to do, but you might just be helping them to find the path that serves them. And remember, you do not have to say forever. You just have to start. In your corner as always, and I will see you next week. If this episode hit home and you're ready to explore what life could look like with alcohol in the back seat, let's talk. I work with people one-on-one who are ready to create the relationship with alcohol that works for them, so they feel powerful in their choices and at peace with their habits. Go to 90dayslater.co and click on book a call, or grab one of the free guides in the show notes to this episode. And if this podcast is helping you, a rating or review goes a long way to help others find this work too.